it's Mrs. Passmore then for your art lesson this afternoon. Today is the 18th of the 1st, 21, and we're going to be looking today at exploring qualities of clay or Play-Doh or salt dough that you might be using today in order to work out what sorts of ideas you could use to produce your dragon eyes in a few weeks' time. Now, some of you hopefully have seen the message I put on Teams on Friday about, for this lesson, if you've got some Play-Doh or clay or salt dough or plasticine, it would be really useful. If you haven't, then still listen to the video because it will help you for the next few weeks worth of work, and possibly you could sketch your ideas instead. So today then we're going to be looking at what you can do with clay or Play-Doh, how you can get it to mould and how you can manipulate it into different shapes. So you're going to have to imagine what you might like to do for your dragon eye in the future, and be resourceful. Being at home is far trickier than being in the classroom. So have a look around and see what you might be able to find in order to help you with today's lesson. For example, I've raided my girls' Play-Doh equipment in order to find the things I'd need for today. So before we design a dragon eye, we first have to learn about the different techniques we could use in order to make our dragon eye as best as it could be. Okay, so we have taught that we might use Play-Doh, you might use clay, plasticine, possibly could use salt dough if you're being very adventurous. So there's different types of clay then that potters use. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some of those first of all. So there's red clay, which we quite often use in school. There's bone china clay, which is what your crockery, like your cups and saucers, would be made from at home. There's stoneware and earthenware clay. There's porcelain clay, which again is like for cups and plates. And then there is black clay. Now there's some health and safety then, as with all art, is that you've got to be careful with what equipment you use. If you're using things like knives in order to cut your plasticine clay, make sure they're washed properly afterwards. Make sure you wipe your surfaces of dust and never ever blow dust from clay, because if that gets in your eyes it makes them really sore. Okay, but for the main things for today's lesson is to check with an adult before you do anything, because obviously you're at home and working at home, not in school, and they'll be able to help you say where you could use in order to do it. Possibly a dining room table or a kitchen side might be a good idea. So clay then has been used in lots of ways to produce all different sorts of items. Now further down in the school you'd have made pinch pots. You might have seen older siblings who have made clay animals out of clay. Coil pots, where you make them into nice long sausages and coil them round, is something else you'll do whilst you're with us at Carbeal. Hand modelling, where they put it in their hand and then they use different tools in order to design the clay. Then there's a field of clay that a famous artist Anthony Gormley has made, where all these little people down here are all made out of clay. And then slab work is quite a useful way of using clay, where they produce it on to a flat slab and then make it into 3D by connecting several slabs together. Now, we're going to investigate today then the effects of using different clay tools. Now, if we were in school then, we would have been using lots of these sorts of tools that you'll have seen at Carbeal in the past. Okay, like boxwood tools that are nice and flat on the needle tools, where they're nice and pointy, brushes for adding extra detail, or adding the slip to stick it together later on. We might have used loop or ribbon or wire tools in order to create holes. Okay, you might have used a wire cutter to cut your slab of clay, or a rolling pin. Now, obviously, you won't have these things at home, but I'm going to turn it now to my visualizer. I then have gone around my house and I have tried to find things that I could use. So, as I said, raided my daughter's Play-Doh, so I've got a large flat Play-Doh knife, a smaller Play-Doh knife for doing different sorts of cuts, a very short pointy one that I could do some really intricate details with, a pair of Play-Doh scissors, okay, which might be quite useful. I have also got a small rolling pin, And I don't know if any of you have got these tools at home that come in quite a lot of the Play-Doh sets now, where you put your Play-Doh in and you can push it and you get out different lengths or different thicknesses of clay depending on the ends you've got in. So they could be quite useful. Now let's go back to the smart board for 2 seconds. Okay, so those might be the tools that you use today. If you haven't got any of those tools, just a simple knife that you'd use for eating your tea with, as long as it is washed again afterwards, would be ideal. And apart from that, really, you just need your hands in order to roll or mould things. So here's a few of the techniques we're going to try then. You could have a go at rolling clay into a ball, pulling it or pinching it, making snakes out of it, smoothing it with your fingers. Use your different tools to try and create holes. Add pieces to it, which is what we'll do when we do our dragon eyes. We'll add different parts on top. Have a go at squeezing the clay and feeling what it feels like. And you might have a go at using some of the pointier tools in order to scratch or add detail. Now, here are what I'd like you to have a go at today. I'd like you to have a go at seeing if you can create spirals or arches, short or large coils, donuts, folded clay, twists, braids, and different ways of making spheres. So you might make lots of small ones, or put one in half so you've got 2 flat edges, or you might try and flatten them. Okay, so there's some that we're going to have a go at, and I'm going to demonstrate them under the visualizer using my Play-Doh I've got here. And then these eyes are what we're going to go on to make and design in the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to turn to the visualizer again so you can see. Okay, so here's my Play-Doh then. So I've got some pink Play-Doh. First of all, you've got to really knead and mould it to make it nice and soft. And then I'm just going to split it up. So I'm going to split up one piece. I'm going to have a go then at rolling it into a ball first of all. I'm going to roll it between my hands into a ball. Okay. Then I'm going to have a go at pulling it and see what I can do. If I pull it out, can I go thin? And I make it go this way. What happens if I rotate it around? Okay, so you can see you don't need many tools in order to be able to manoeuvre Play-Doh. Now I'm going to roll it back up again. And this time I'm going to roll it into a sausage. So keeping my hand nice and flat, I'm going to put even pressure all the way along it so that I can roll out a sausage just like this. Okay, and then once I've got a sausage, I could coil it by rolling it in on itself. So I might turn it this way and then roll it in almost like a snail. Keep rolling it. It's a rather large coil, but there's a coil. I could have a at making the arches. So to make the arches, I'm going to pull another piece off. This time I'm going to try and make a large sausage, and then I'm going to try and cut it up. I'm going to roll it between my hands first of all like this, and then I'm going to put it down flat. And with the arches, I want to try and keep it, if you can, the same thickness all the way along. So I'm going to try and roll out this sausage as long as I can without it breaking. But if it does break, I just screw it up into a ball and start again. It's getting quite long now. Then I'm going to use either one of my knives or even my scissors in order to cut it up to make an arch. So I need a large arch first of all. Well, here's my first arch. Then I'm going to actually put my second arch inside before I cut it to make sure I've got it the right size. So I need it to there. Then I need a smaller one again, so I might keep rolling this out a little bit. Like this. And then I'm going to push it in, cut it, and then see if I can get a baby arch right in the middle. There you go, just like that. Then if I want to tie it off, I might use the sharper, flatter knife in order to smooth off all my edges. And there we go, there's my arch. So I've got an arch, and I've got a coil. I might have a go now at trying one of the twists or the braids. Now, if you girls in particular have got long hair, you might know how to plait hair, or someone at home might know how to do it. If not, what you need to do is you need to have 3 strands. So again, I'm going to roll out this sausage, which seems to be the key part of a lot of our work today. And I want to try and make it as thin as I can, because it's going to end up very thick. Let's do this piece. So I'm going to chop that. There's one piece. And I need 3 that are similar sizes. 2. Try and make that one. Oh, stretch that one out a little bit. And then in order to braid it, I'm going to put them at the top of my screen like this. And I'm going to join them together at the top just by pinching them. And then in order to braid it, make sure I've got it all on the camera so you can see it. Let's move those up there. Is you basically take your left or your right one, so one of the edge ones, lift it over across the middle one and lay it down. Then you go to the other side and lift that one up and lay it down in the middle. Like this. Then you get your side again. And you can turn from each of the sides and you keep going until you run out of clay or Play-Doh. Like this. So you go from side to side. You never touch the middle one. There you go. And then you can pull it together. And then you've got a nice braid. If you wanted to do a twist, you might just use 2 pieces to twist together. If you want to have a go at the donut one, you can either roll it into a circle and then try and put a hole in the middle of it. I might use the end of my rolling pin. See if I can push it all the way through like that, and then smooth off my edges. And I've got a style, and then I need to use my finger to try and get rid of the bit that is cracked at the top like that with a donut. I could roll out another sausage like this. Ooh, try and make it the same thickness, and then I'm going to wrap it around and join it together, and then I'll have made a donut shape. I could have a go at making a sphere, so like a ball. Ooh, not drop it. You're going to roll it to make a ball. And then if you want to make a flat sphere, you're going to have to cut it. So I might use my sharp per one straight down the middle. And then if I turn them over, there's one half and my other half. And then if I lightly press them down, I'll end up with 2 flattened circles of the same size. I could have a go at using one of these tools if you happen to have any at home. So this one would create, if I put quite a bit of Play-Doh in, several of the same thickness strands, which would be really good in order to braid or plait. So I'm going to push this one in. Now this tool happens to give me 4, so I put it all in. I'm just going to push it, and out will come just like that, my 4 sausages. Okay, lay them down. So I've now got 4. So I could use 2 of them to make a twist. So just twist them around each other, and the tighter you go, the tighter your twist will become. Like this. Okay, you can get that quite tight, which is quite good for them bending around. Okay, you can make your donuts out of those. If you had 3, you plait them, and it would be a far tighter plait than what we've already done. I'm just going to put some more Play-Doh in. This is going to be my last one now. So today's lesson then, really, year 4, is a bit of fun. Get out some Play-Doh or plasticine, some clay, and have a go at experimenting to see what you can do. Then if you line them up like I have, or take several photos, you'll be able to take photos, and then on Teams you can send it to your class teacher, who will then be able to see what we've been up to in art, and it will give you some ideas, because some of them are really tricky to do, some of them are a lot easier, and this will give you a good idea as to what you might want to include in your dragon eye. Because if, for example, you find the braiding really challenging, you might decide not to include that next time we do it. If, though, you thought, actually, I've got the hang of it, and I've managed to get it really neat now, it would look amazing on my dragon eye, you could choose to include this on yours. So, I'm going to leave you there, year 4. Basically, today's art lesson is have a go at experimenting with clay or Play-Doh or plasticine. Have great fun. You might spend 10 minutes doing it. You might get engrossed to it and find that you're still playing Play-Doh in an hour's time. Okay? Have good fun, take some photos, and I look forward to seeing them. Year 4.